Hello. So it is easy to be convinced that fast food and fast food heavy diets can be sustainable or overall nutritious. However, after doing some reading, I learned that that is not entirely true, and you are probably being deceived by these companies more than helped. And I don't think they're looking after your health as much as you would think they are. So hopefully, I am able to convince you that avoiding a fast food diet would be the right way to go, and hopefully, I can encourage you to shop more locally, or at least in any kind of grocery store, and encourage you to buy your own ingredients. To start, I think that a lot of companies will try and sell a product that by saying it's 100% whatever it is they're selling. For example, like chicken. A lot of companies will say their meat's 100% white meat, and although there's some truth to that, they're really good at bending that truth. They will take the chicken, for example, could have 100% DNA of a chicken, but it will actually only be 40 something percent actual chicken, and there's 10 other ingredients that make up the rest of the product. And I think a lot of people tend not to think about those ingredients or any of the bad things about what they're buying because they're so clouded by the convenience of simply rolling up to a drive-through, pointing at a picture, and then saying, "I want that," and then it's just instantly given to you, as if they just have to warm it up or have it pre-made. And so I think what's important is that most people avoid that by shopping in a grocery store. You would actually even save a lot more money too, because you'd be spending $10 on a single sandwich when it comes to fast food, whereas you could take that. I can see you taking that $10 and being able to buy a lot more ingredients that are more wholesome with that money, and it saves you in the long term. And it's also just generally more nutritious for you because you're getting 100% chicken, for example. It's a lot cheaper than people think. Like, fast food will really charge you, and you're not really paying for the quality of the food. If you think about it, you're only paying for the convenience of it, and that convenience hurts a lot of people long term, both mentally and physically. I think physically, the stats show in our own country we are the number one country when it comes to obesity, and I think that's due to the amount of fast food chains that dominate the market these days. And so what I think would encourage more people to do is that they should actually shop more locally. That way they're more encouraged to take care of themselves, because when it comes to mentally, once you start giving into those conveniences, you're more likely to keep them up. I'm sure many have experienced situations where you're starting off on a healthy diet, for example, you're doing really good, you keep up with it for a couple weeks, but then you give in, and for the convenience sake, you're late for work or something, you go and get McDonald's, and then you end up getting attached to that convenience, and then you're more likely to repeat those same actions. And that's kind of the evil that I think is behind a lot of these fast food companies, because they know how to capitalize on it and try to sell you a good product and make you think you're getting something good when really you're doing yourself more long-term harm. And I think that kind of transitions into the mental effect too. I think people, once you start to rely on fast food too much, it starts to take a mental toll on you. You start to become more sluggish, less motivated, and less likely to perform well at your best during your everyday life. And I think a lot of people, again, they just don't think about it because they're so clouded by the convenience of fast food. So I know personally for me, I know that I don't really do so well relying on fast food too much. I've grown very accustomed to being able to form my own diets and nutritional facts, and I know what's good for me and what works for me. And I know what will make me sick if I go and buy it. So with that information, I know from past experiences that if I rely on fast food, I end up just making myself sick. And I don't like how it makes me feel mentally. I like to perform every day at my best. And so that is why it's important that you don't rely on fast food too much, especially when you're still a student or your financial situations aren't the greatest. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a really expensive habit, and I think it would teach a lot more skills outside of healthy eating if you just learn to take that money and spread it out more for yourself and budget for an actual diet. So yeah, that's why I think that most people should switch off of fast food, because it's just not good for them overall. Thank you.